How's it going, everyone? It is Prashan here, and I have Tucker next to me. How's it going, Tucker?
Hey, oh, it is good to be back. Let's freaking win the weekend today. Let's get those avatars. Let's hit infinite. Let's freaking complete those alliance bounties. But yo, it is good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I don't know what do we call this a podcast now? What do we call this?
It's a podcast. Maybe there's other stuff in the works too. Who knows?
Yeah, man. So we had a wacky OTA. It was a frenzy amongst Marvel Snap creators beforehand, and then the public aftermath of what happened. And this card here has been a pain in my side, or a pain in Marvel Snap for a while, and I feel like they just made it better. How do you feel about Loki now, Tucker? The fact that it's a 2/2 turn 1 Arishem. Sheesh.
So their whole thing with this was like, we're gonna take away from power from Loki because the issue is Loki's power. The issue is not Loki's ability at all whatsoever. It's his power. His power is winning you games. And that is not what the issue is. And yes, you don't get the draw now, but you get to play him a turn earlier. You have better tempo now with some Wiccan's energy too. But like, it just feels like Loki got a slap on the wrist and Arishem continues just to run free. And it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous on how like this card I guess keeps on getting better or more annoying throughout Snap, right? So it's like, we'll just make it better for you guys. I don't know, like the fact that someone could snap on turn 1 if they have like Quinjet Loki in the Arishem deck is ridiculous. And you don't know if they have like Shang-Chi starting off in their hand. You don't know if they have Magneto. You don't know if they have like Goliath. Like it's just ridiculous. And then like the fact that they could out tempo you with your own deck in the beginning of the game is ridiculous. So I think maybe Loki needs to be like a 4 cost.
It's a 4/1, or we all just need to stop playing regular decks. We need to all play combo inducive decks. We need to all play Hela again, so Loki just can't play all these cards out, and it's just, oh my god.
Yeah, just bring Hela back, or as a community, we could just agree not to play Loki.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, we all agreed not to play Arishem.
No, that did not happen. The win rate is pretty crazy on Arishem, but Loki sucks. I hate Loki. And then next we have Beast. Beast recently got changed, a 3/5. Like I feel like Bounce keeps on getting like hit with these strays like so many times, and it feels like Beast and Falcon keep on getting changed like back and forth with their costs. And it's like, what did Bounce do to you guys? Bounce players have been in their own corner, doing their own thing, and then boom, Beast takes a hit out of nowhere.
Yeah, Bounce is just the high skill cap. They don't want the high skill cap cards to be good. If you literally use your brain and everything to play Bounce, and it literally was like they say a buff to Beast, but it's like a nerf to Beast because Toxin comes out in a month and a half. Like Toxin's not even coming out like this season, and we're already hitting Beast with an OTA before that even happens. It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to Toxin. That's going to be crazy too. So it's understandable. It's understandable. And then next, we have Copycat. I thought Copycat was like the best card in the game. You pretty much snap sometimes too, just depending on what you take from your opponent. Now, when you draw this, just copy the text from the bottom card of your opponent's deck, and your opponent keeps their stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like a lot of people playing an Arishem. As a mill player, like this actually stinks because like I was taking their ability and then they would have a dead card in their hand now. But now I guess for Copycat, you don't necessarily know what your opponent copied now until Copycat's played. But it's still like, I don't know, the surprise factor's still there, but the wording, I don't know. I liked the steal way more. I think it was better for the card. Maybe it was just an Arishem. This was the way they affected Arishem was Copycat, even though Copycat's like not even one of the main cards like in Arishem.
Yeah, but it's weird because like technically you're taking the bottom card of their deck, right? So typically they don't even see this card, or they shouldn't.
Yep.
just
Mm-hmm.
depending on the conditions of the game. So I guess I understand what they did. Like it's a good and bad thing
Yeah.
overall, but I don't know. Fine. I guess Copycat's not dead. She still lives.
It's
But
just weird.
yeah, weird. But we have a card that has new life, and I've been playing this a lot. We have ATTUMA. ATTUMA 410. After each turn, destroy one of your cards here with less power. So I've been playing this in Destroy. It's been great. You just set it and forget it with certain cards like X-23, Wolverine. I've been playing Sabretooth too, just for that extra Destroy card. That way your null could get bigger, your
Hmm.
death gets discounted quicker. Like, this is pretty good now.
Yeah, this is good for big dumb idiots and everything. I think it's really good in a clog heavy meta. I think that's something they were doing to kind of affect that so that you weren't always clogged all the time and just, hating yourself because clog's also everywhere because that's the counter to Arishem. So like you're literally it's either Arishem or it's clog and there's like no in between kind of thing. But yeah, no, this card feels good. Playing it in Destroy. I've been playing a lot in Phoenix Force. Like it just feels really solid, especially with the spotlight card this week, Nimrod.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. It destroys the Nimrods. And even I was thinking about like the junk decks too. You could probably get away with playing what Sentry, and then you could just put Attuma in the other lane, and then pray that it gets
hmm
rid of that void, or it gets rid of rocks in the process of the game. And speaking of Nimrod, we have a change here with Destroyer. Destroyer cards at other locations. So the same location as Destroyer, the cards are safe. With other two locations, it isn't.
yeah, this is honestly really good for some of these early pool decks as well. If you're talking about some of these Warpath Spectrum kind of things, you can kind of protect your cards in the lane without having to put armor on them or Professor X them. And I think it is a better targeted destroy. If you're like winning a lane, but you're like, I got a bunch of rocks and stuff over here, you can destroy it over on the other side. I think this is also really good for the big bads deck as well. I'm gonna probably do some testing with that because you can kind of just keep. Maybe you blinked out something and you want to keep that card alive, but you want to get rid of your Electro. Like you can just still get some really good value with this card being targeted.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think I went infinite with the Destroyer deck
Mm-hmm.
like a few seasons ago just to mess around. I'm like, can I win with like lower pool cards? And I did. I think it's a good change. I think it's because of other cards coming up why this change happened now, which
Yeah.
I think is spot on. Like spot on brand, which I think is going to be pretty cool. And then next we have Cannonball. Cannonball's a 5/8 now. I think the play rate went down a ton after the Professor X change. It's like, why play a Cannonball? I feel like Juggernaut started to get more love than Cannonball recently. So they just gave him a nice little buff.
Yeah, they give him a buff. It's just a nice little. Here you go. Give him like a star. I gave him a little sticker, and now Cannonball's a 5/8. Woohoo! I mean, if you're playing the KM best list where you're clogging on everyone, you get some Cannonball value. But like with Professor X being the way Professor X is, Cannonball is just a nice little stat here. They were just adding stuff this week to make this card better for your spotlights since it's in spotlights this week.
Oh yeah, it is. I totally forgot because this was well practically almost a skip week because we had
Yeah.
Hulkling. So I didn't even bother. I'm saving those keys. And then
Mm-hmm.
next we have Taskmaster. Taskmaster got hit by a stray too, which totally sucks. Like he was a 5/0 for so long, and all of a sudden he's a 6. Like is he 6 worthy?
No, he's not six worthy. Another bad hit for Hulkling now. And like they said, a bunch of high skill level players were saying Taskmaster's too good. And I did not hear a single person tell me that Taskmaster was too good. Is this a change also for the symbiote season as well for maybe anti Venom? But like it's still it just some of these changes just don't make sense. They're not as practical. Maybe they're seeing something I don't. Maybe the Sauron package is way too good pre-infinite and I'm just not seeing a lot of Taskmaster, and people hate hitting the Red Skulls, and then they get to play Ebony Maw. Maybe that's what it is. Or Shuri Kitty maybe is too crazy, but it just this one specifically, this and the Beast, I literally was like, what is actually happening right now?
Yeah, I feel like the Taskmaster was another way to attack Airsham decks. Right? You could play Taskmaster, and then you could play like Hydra Bob or Martyr or Ebony Maw as well as the one drop, just to like have some balance and throw those Arishem players off guard. But now it being a 6-0 sort of sucks. It's like
Yeah.
why? Like why? But that's it for this OTA. I think it's a okay OTA. Like it's the Loki thing sucks. Everything else is okay. Like this sucks too, in my honest opinion. But I don't know. It's an okay OTA. We'll get through it. There'll be new metas. Someone will put out another cool deck, and then everyone will be back to winning, and everyone will be happy again.
Yeah, one day everyone will be happy.
And then
when the new season comes out, yeah.
Oh yeah. When the new season comes out, everyone will forget these cards, and then that'll be it, right?
I hope. Activate, baby.
Oh yeah, activate for sure. So now we're gonna go over some decks. Most of them are more the same, just pretty much the same decks week after week. The meta isn't changing. Hopefully, the new season brings some new life into these. But we're gonna go over some of these decks here, and we have Mr. Negative. Speaking of Taskmaster, this deck was pretty strong, especially when you're doing the Wong Mystique Sage, and then you're copying with Taskmaster. Typically, like it doesn't affect this deck at all, really. Besides the point that you don't get like the Mr. Negative, but overall, I think this is still pretty good.
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, the difference now is like if you wanted to do a final turn, like Taskmaster Sage, you have to have Ravona to be able to make that happen. You can't, get the bonus otherwise because your Sage will be 2 and your Taskmaster will be back to his original 5. But like this list is really solid. You got a bunch of different lines. Mr. Negative is really good. The snap condition is you just Mr. Negative into Jane, and then you just win because your opponent either stays or they leave. And it's just a really solid list. Very, fundamental. Iron Man Mystique, Wong Mystique, Sage. And then, Taskmaster, Ironheart, of course, always hits your Mystique and always hits your Iron Man. So you always get that double power, or at least that's whatever happens when my opponents play this card. But Cassandra is still here for all the Arishem stuff, too. You can do Cassandra into Taskmaster thing. But this is just a really solid staple list. It's combo inducive. Like your win rate may not be as high, but your cube rate is going to be really high.
Yeah, I think you have to know when to stay and when to retreat with these decks. I think decks like these and decks like I guess Living Tribunal and Hela, like typically you have to know when to stay and when to go.
Yeah.
And then next here we have Arishem. The deck that is not going anywhere. Yeah. But this one here is a little bit different. We have Shadow King, Agent, Enchantress, and this one as well, just for some tech purposes, especially when they're playing Cassandra against you. You just Shadow King that Cassandra right away, and then Enchantress is just for those Mr. Negative decks, just to bring those back down to earth. But it's weird. It seems like you still get the nuts with this deck all the time.
Yeah, it's like you have Legion also to turn off Limbo, and there's just it's really interesting with this list. It's like, okay, Thanos was crazy because you could, there's like 5-6 drops in here, and Thanos had 5-6 drops. But at least with Thanos, you still had to draw them with the stones. And this, even if they don't draw their blob or their Goliath, it seems like they always have something. And like with Arishem, especially when it comes to Conquest, and you guys are doing Infinity Conquest runs and everything too, the unknown factor of this list is really just what makes it overall crazy. You have Loki in this, like you said. Oh, I have a very bad opening hand. I don't know what I'm going to draw, but hey, let me just play their deck instead. I get the intel there on turn 2. I don't have to, or turn 1, not turn 2. I don't necessarily have to snap, but I can kind of know what's going on. This list is just so good in that sense because you are either drawing your nuts or, like Prashant said, like they draw the random nuts, and it's just like, okay, well, there's no way they have a Killmonger in this Arishem list, and then they draw Killmonger on turn 6. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I just lose.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. For you Arishem players out there, Arishem enjoyers, I think you'll see this plenty in Conquest.
Yes.
And hopefully you guys get those borders, right?
Shout out to Antero.
Yeah. And then next we have Sandman. We went over this list last week. This is a pretty good list. I think a lot of people are starting to catch on or I've been seeing tons of mirrors. I'm like, oh crap, everyone's playing it now. So yeah, it's a pretty good deck. You put Nebula down, set her and forget her. You have Captain Marvel to save you those games. You have Spider Ham for the intel. You have Cassandra here just to combat those big Arishem decks, and then of course you have Sandman just to bog things down. And then it was a surprise with Ultron, especially since you had Red Hulk. Like they always thought you were gonna play Red Hulk on the final turn, but since most people have caught on to it, they know Ultron's coming.
Yeah, they know Ultron's coming, and I think honestly, like there's so many combo decks going around right now, and like if we're talking about Mr. Negative, this deck can hard counter Mr. Negative because you have the Sandman, but also because you have the Nocturne. Nocturne just like shuts off Limbo, and like you're getting some really good utility out of Captain Marvel. Copycat, of course, doesn't of course steal the ability now, but still they're not going to be able to normally draw everything they need when you're doing copycat things. So this feels really well. You're taking away cards, you're afflicting cards, you're changing locations, you're applying negative power onto the board, and then you're following it up with a big old thing of bots or a big dumb idiot, and you get the Red Hulk on the board. So it's just a really good overall list. Yeah.
Yeah, solid list. And then next, we have Darkhawk, the same Darkhawk deck, week after week after week after week. Especially since the Moon Knight change, this has gotten so much stronger. Hitting the Proxima going on the board, and then hopefully hitting that Ultron on the other side, that Doctor Doom on the other side, that Red Hulk on the other side. This deck is still good. It's not going anywhere,
Yeah.
it seems.
With Arishem not going anywhere, Darkhawk's not going anywhere. You know, the two just powerful forces in the meta, and like you're clogging your opponent's board, you're taking away your opponent's cards. Like this is just a really good feels good list. You're threatening rocks in their decks too, so like they don't draw all of it they need. This list just overall is just super solid. It's very versatile for pretty much any matchup. You don't have like Shang-Chi in this list, but you're applying so many rocks and stuff. You're trying to make sure they can't draw what they need. It just is an overall feels good list for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then next, another list that's not going anywhere, Surfer. This is a staple in the game as well. I believe I've seen a few people win Conquest with this deck too, which is pretty good. Gwenpool is here to stay, it seems. It seems like some of these like season pass cards come and go, but Gwenpool is definitely a staple in this deck. Hitting those Shaws, hitting those Broods, like perfect synergy. And then we do have the Nocturne to shut Limbo off because we don't have Limbo in this deck. And then Sarah just to have things pop off with the Surfer and Absman.
Yeah, like Sandman is the only thing that really just does anything to this list. I mean, yeah, maybe an Alioth from Arishem, but like no one's running Mobius right now, so you get immediate Sarah value. And then if a Zoo deck doesn't have Kyra down, Killmonger just literally wrecks their world. I don't think Zoo's running Shadow King anymore either. I think they're going for more Zoo things, so like you can kind of just win that matchup going more vertical than a bunch of their cards. So it just feels really good. Thank goodness, like we say every week, that Leech is dead, because Leech's death really allows this to just really flow into fruition. And yeah, it's just an incredible list.
Yeah, and then it's weird too when I'm playing against Zoo. As soon as I put like Nova down on turn one, they just like retreat. They're like, the Killmonger's coming. Like the Nova's like a dead giveaway. Like it's either destroy or surf, and they can't hang. Yeah. So I think that's it, man. Nothing has really changed except for the outrage of the last OTA. Like more and more snappers are I don't know if they're putting down the game or they're playing Wukong like me. I don't know what they're doing. Everyone just needs to take a break, a nice little vacation this week. Get your Conquest rewards. Just playing Conquest. And then we'll be back next week with all the new jazz and hype of the new season. I'm looking forward to Symbiote Spider-Man. I'm looking forward to Silver Sable, just to see what we can do with those cards and what new brews and metas may occur. Maybe everyone will forget Loki and play Symbiote Spider-Man.
I hope so. I mean, I am super pumped. It's a Spider-Verse season. I love Spider-Man. Prashan loves Spider-Man. You guys love Spider-Man. I'm excited for all the variants. I'm excited for everything. These next 3 months are going to be very expensive when it comes to super rares, because they're all just so good.
Yeah. Tons of stuff coming. And thank you for hanging out, Tucker. This is Prashan, your friendly neighborhood Marvel snapper. Till next time, be safe, keep on snapping, and peace.
Snap!